since we're talking about horribly depressing things, let's talk about Hong Kong.
It's my favorite horribly depressing thing.
What does that mean?
No, I mean, I have a soft spot for Hong Kong since, we spent so many...
I have a soft spot too. In fact, the shirt I'm wearing now, I bought at a Hong Kong tailor, William Chung & Son. It's my favorite.
What
my
is
favorite
it
place.
made out of?
Yeah, is it made out of Xinjiang
Hopefully
cotton?
Xinjiang cotton. I only wear slave cotton. That's my, but like I was like putting it on this morning and I was like, oh, I miss just being in Hong Kong and like all the really nice and wonderful people there. And it's just like, I don't know, somehow like that hit home for me more than, the fact that, this past week they convicted 7 democracy activists of, sentenced them to long
Several
prison
of
terms.
them we have interviewed in the past.
I know, right? It's like
Yes.
half the people we've interviewed are in jail now. Like it's awful.
Or in exile.
Yeah.
Longhair was one of the people who was convicted this
Longhair.
last week.
Yeah.
And several people we interviewed during the protest last year. So,
Yeah, they've officially made. Well, we've talked about what they were. They openly said what they were going to do, and now they've implemented it. The kind of patriotic vows people have to be made, which the National Security Police are the ones who get to decide whether or not somebody running for
they're
office.
going to be investigating whether people are sufficiently loyal to run in elections.
Isn't that nice? A nice little police force investigating people to see if they're loyal and patriotic.
And also, they're new. It's the National Security Police.
It's not just the good old Hong Kong police that we all know and love.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically the National Security Police is basically the way that they've legitimized the presence of like the Ministry of State Security in Hong Kong, more or less, right? Like it's yeah.
Because the original Hong Kong police that continuously tear gassed us were not problematic enough.
They had been trained in Xinjiang, Matt.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I mean, but you need police who are not just, meatheads spraying people with tear gas. Now you need people who can, be more like operatives.
Yeah.
It's a more subtle job to investigate people's political affiliations.
They were always in Hong Kong. It just they couldn't operate in the open.
That may be
so you think this is basically just kind of acknowledging a force that was already at work in Hong Kong?
I mean, I don't think it was as big. Like now they're going to actually have National Security Police as like a legitimized thing. But there were definitely MSF's operatives in Hong Kong. I remember like Simon Chen, that one Hong Kong guy who was working for the UK consulate who got arrested in Shenzhen. Like after
tortured.
Yeah, and then after he was released in Hong Kong, he kept seeing people following him and all this kind of stuff before he eventually fled.
Even Kevin Carrico had like someone following him.
Oh, well, that was from like Wei Wenpo, like one of the like pro CCP newspapers in Hong Kong. Yeah.
So, but it's always nice to know that at least someone's looking out for you.
Wait, was anybody following us in Hong Kong?
I looked, but I don't have the training to be able to see that. And anyway, nothing we were doing was really supposed to be under the radar. Like we were filming it ourselves. So what was the point of following us? They could just follow us on Facebook.
Yeah. I assume they were fans.
Yes.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But this is hopefully another good example of the Communist Party's aggressive overreach that is sort of waking up the West. Like, I mean, genocide, labeling China as a country that commits genocide is definitely pretty good. But I mean, I think people can still look at Hong Kong and be like, okay, maybe they don't keep their promises.
Yeah.
Maybe this is an authoritarian regime after all.
Well, I think that Hong Kong's always been unique in that they've been much more successful in the international kind of stage for like advocating for themselves and like talking about what's happening to them there. So yeah, I mean, I think this definitely hits home for a lot of people.
Yeah, like it is now really just another Chinese city. Though somebody the other day mentioned a good point that it was a Patreon. A patron from Patreon that I was talking to on a live chat the other day. They made the good point that like the Great Firewall hasn't really come to Hong Kong yet, so it can still get worse.
Oh, yeah. I think that they're setting the stage for that, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to actually talk more about Hong Kong on our next podcast because we're going to have Hong Kong activist Max Mock on the show, and he's living abroad now. So we'll get more into detail on some of that stuff. Really, the details of what's happening on the ground and all the things you can no longer do in Hong Kong.
I'm sure there's going to be more stuff that we can talk about next week.
I feel like there's many podcasts worth of stuff.
Is something coming out next week? Or are you just assuming based on history?
Assuming based on history.
All right.
Oh, you mean just all of everything that's going to happen in the next week? There'll be enough to have new stuff.
Well, okay, no, that's April 16th. April 16th, the people who were arrested this last week are going to be sentenced.
They've been arrested. Have they already been tried? How do we know they'll be sentenced?
The people who were just charged will be sentenced. Okay. Yeah.
Like what? They're like Jimmy Lai is like 73. Somebody was 82.
Martin Lee is 82.
Martin Lee. Was he the father of democracy in Hong Kong? He was a barrister.
Yeah, there's multiple barristers in that group.
But
like these are like mostly people in their like 60s, 70s.
Yeah, not real threats to society. By the way, fun fact for you, Shelley, when we were recording the episode about that, I kept saying barista.
I didn't even catch it until we finally recorded it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, yeah, barista. That's a normal thing that Hong Kong actors could be.
She's a well-respected barista.
Father of democracy. Barista.
Well, I mean, AOC was a barista.
I thought she was a bartender. Was she also a barista?
Oh, you know what? I'm getting those things mixed up.
Okay.
So, no, she was a bartender. So, barista is like Starbucks.
Yes.
Hey, I used to sell Mrs. Fields cookies. We all come from somewhere.
Were you a cookista?
They called me a cookie monster. Trademarked.
I feel like this is the moment where our podcast goes downhill fast.
Hey, you want to order some dry pot after this?